Hi, welcome. We were learning applications of Gauss's law. We have seen how to apply Gauss's law to find electric field intensity due to a very long line charge, as well as how to apply Gauss's law to find electric field around an infinite sheet charge. In today's video, we are going to learn how to find electric field intensity due to a spherical shell of charge, and in upcoming video we will also look into how to apply Gauss's law to find electric field due to an entire volume of spherical charge. So first let us check how to find field due to spherical shell of charge. To start with, I have to consider an imaginary spherical shell, and the charge is uniformly distributed over its surface, and let the charge density be rho s, surface charge density. So let it be rho s. So surface charge density is rho s. Now I need to find E vector, that is electric field intensity at some point P, which is located at some distance from the center of this sphere. Now see that the distance from the center can be inside this shell. So the distance from the center, okay, I can have a point P somewhere here, right, somewhere here, which is inside the shell, or I can have this point on the shell such that the distance of this point P from the center is same as the radius of the sphere, or I can have this point somewhere outside the sphere also. That means I should be able to calculate electric field intensity in all these three cases: when point P is inside the shell, when the point P is lying on the shell, and when the point P is just outside the shell. So let us pick these cases one by one. So let me first consider the case of point P outside the shell. What if I need to find electric field intensity at a point P which is just outside this spherical shell of charge? So let my point P be somewhere here outside the shell. Now since this is application of Gauss's law, we have to choose a proper closed surface which will enclose this shell charge. Then we will find how many flux lines are quantity of flux lines coming out of that closed path, then evaluate E vector, right. So when we are applying Gauss's law, it is necessary to enclose my charges in a closed surface. So which will be a best suitable enclosure surface for this spherical shell of charge? So I believe it should be another sphere. Okay, so this sphere should be covered by another sphere, okay, which is nothing but we call it as imaginary Gaussian sphere, such that this point P is on the surface of that sphere. This point P lies on surface of that sphere. Remember, even though I am drawing it on plane of paper 2 dimension, I am drawing a sphere, so it is 3-dimensional figure which I am trying to express. So you should have the imagination power. I might have used some animations to show you 3-dimensional sphere, but purposefully I have not used it, just to improve your imagination. The more better is your imagination, the more better you understand these concepts. So let me construct a Gaussian sphere which passes through my point P. So this is my Gaussian sphere which passes through my point P, and let the radius of this Gaussian sphere be r. Okay, small r. The radius of this Gaussian sphere is small r. Let me notate it using small r. Okay, now what I need to find, what is my electric field intensity due to this shell of charge at this point P, which is just outside the shell of charge. So what I love to do, initially I will consider a small surface where this point P is lying, right? So let me consider a small surface where this point P is lying. So this is small surface where my point P is lying. So this is my small surface on the Gaussian sphere, and let me consider a d vector, that is flux density of this small surface. This small surface is notated as ds. If I can evaluate it for this small ds, I can put this ds everywhere on this surface and find for the entire sphere. That is the idea. Okay, so let me find first what is the d vector or flux density of this particular area, that is small ds. Then I can use the definition of d vector to find q or flux for the entire sphere. So for that, let me represent the flux lines coming out of this surface. Okay, so maybe that flux is in this direction. Okay, because it will be radially outwards passing through this point. So you will have flux lines radially outwards from the sphere, okay, throughout the sphere. I am just considering where I need to calculate only one point P. You can have this point P anywhere on the surface. Okay, please understand this, your point P can be anywhere on this surface, and wherever you consider this point P, you will have a ds, and you will have a flux line passing through that, because flux lines are randomly coming out radially outside. Okay, radially and random outside of this sphere. So I am just considering this area. Okay, so since I am considering this for the entire area, this vector is representing the total flux coming out of this small area. This vector is not E vector, that vector is D vector, because it is density of vector which is represented as capital D vector. Remember this. If I need to represent it as E vector, then it should be a single flux line representation. Okay, but here I have considered the ds, that is surface concept, surface area concept. So this should be represented as D vector. Don't make mistake here. Okay, now how to proceed with? Now the things to remember is, you have considered a spherical shell of charge where the charge is distributed only on the surface of the sphere. That's why it is known as shell of charge. Hope that is very clear. Then we need to identify a point, okay, which is our case 1, because point can be anywhere inside the sphere or on the sphere or outside the sphere. So first case which we are considering is point P outside the sphere, and we have constructed a Gaussian sphere passing through this point P, and we have considered a small area around this point P, and we are trying to calculate how much is the flux coming out of that small area. Then we can easily adapt it to find the flux lines coming out of the entire sphere. Okay, now using the definition of D vector, okay, we know that D vector is psi by S, that is flux by surface area, and in this case I have a small surface area and I'll consider the flux coming out of the small surface area as minimum flux. So infinitely small amount of flux. So I noted it as d psi. So I can write this as d psi by ds vector. Okay, so this is S vector. So from this I can easily write what is d psi. So d psi is d vector dot ds vector. Okay, now what is d vector here, what is ds vector here? If I can substitute, I can get what is d psi. So I should go for general approach, in the sense how to represent d vector and how to represent ds vector geometrically from this figure, means mathematically from the geometry of this figure. Okay, so d vector is nothing but, it can be written as magnitude of d and its direction. So as I told you, d vector will be radially outwards from the sphere. So radial direction is represented by ar cap. So I have magnitude dr ar cap. Okay, so I am just considering the radial component of d, that's why I am writing dr. So dr ar cap, and as we have already discussed, ds vector, that is surface vector in radial direction for a spherical coordinate system is given by r square sin theta d theta d phi. Okay, ar cap, it's vector. So this will be my r square sin theta d theta d phi will be my magnitude, and ds is also measured in radial direction. Okay, because surface is normal. Okay, so at every point it will be radial direction to the sphere. So it is also ar cap. So I have ar cap dot ar cap. So that becomes 1, explained many times in previous videos. So I will have d psi as dr r square sin theta d theta d phi. Okay, now this is my d psi, that is infinitely small flux which is coming out of my that small surface ds. Now how to find the total flux now? How can I calculate what is the total flux coming out of the entire spherical surface? So that can be easily obtained if I can integrate this, right? Because the psi is nothing but integrating my d psi over the closed surface, over the closed Gaussian surface. So that is nothing but integrating closed surface of this value dr r square sin theta d theta d phi. Right, agree? Now remember, theta represents polar angle and phi represents azimuth angle. So theta will give you basically the vertical movement of the sphere, and phi will give you around motion of the sphere. So phi will be around the sphere in the sense 0 to 2 pi, and theta will be from 0 to pi. So I will derive this, means I will approach with universal limits to find my psi, because I need to calculate psi throughout the surface of the sphere. So I have to integrate these values for throughout the surface of the sphere. So I have to use universal limits of spherical coordinate system to find what is my total psi. So here I can write this as dr r square integral, okay, two variables, one is phi which will vary from 0 to 2 pi azimuth angle, then I have theta which is polar angle which will vary from 0 to pi. I have to integrate both sin theta d theta and d phi. Okay, sin theta with respect to theta d theta and then just d phi. So about these universal limits, all this we have discussed earlier. Okay, if you are not thorough with this, I recommend you to watch my previous videos. Okay, now integrating this and applying the limits. Okay, so if I integrate this, I get dr r square minus cos theta 0 to pi and phi from 0 to 2 pi. So if I apply these limits, minus cos pi minus, that is plus cos 0, and this 2 pi, so this becomes 4 pi. So this I can write it as 4 pi r square dr. So I get my psi as 4 pi r square dr. So I understood that the total flux coming out of my Gaussian sphere is 4 pi r square dr. It can be evaluated using this mathematical equation. But my intention is not to find the total flux coming out. My intention is to find what is the field at point P, at any point P outside the shell. So what is this? So let me apply Gauss's law now. So applying Gauss's law, what I get? Psi is equal to Q, right? So applying Gauss's law, I have psi is equal to Q. So this equation is true for Q also. So this can be written as Q equals 4 pi r square dr. Or from this equation, I can easily find what is dr. What is dr? Dr is the magnitude of flux density in radial direction. So that is nothing but Q divided by 4 pi r square. Now what is my d vector? D vector is dr ar cap. Okay. So I have dr now. Dr is Q by 4 pi r square ar cap. So this is my d vector. Now I have my d vector, that is nothing but flux density. If I have flux density, we know how to find field intensity, because there is a relation between flux density and field intensity. So according to that, E vector is nothing but d vector divided by epsilon naught in free space. So this is Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught r square ar. So mathematical, I have found an equation for electric field intensity for any point P outside the spherical shell, which was our first case, right? So I got it as Q by 4 pi epsilon r square ar cap. Further, knowing the density of the spherical shell, I can find value for this Q also, because I know that the charge density of my sphere is rho s. Okay, charge density is rho s. I know this. So knowing that, I can calculate what is Q. Knowing that, I can easily calculate what is Q. So using the definition of surface charge density, I am going to calculate what is Q. So you know that from the definition of charge density rho s, it is nothing but Q by area, right? Surface area. So Q by A. So here what is surface area of the shell? Surface area of the shell is 4 pi radius square. So here radius of my spherical shell is A. So it is 4 pi A square. Remember here, I am calculating surface charge density of spherical shell. So here you have to consider the radius of spherical shell, not Gaussian sphere. So Q divided by 4 pi A square, right? That is my rho s. So from this, what is my Q? So Q is nothing but, from that equation I can write Q is nothing but rho s multiplied by 4 pi A square. So this I can substitute here, right, to find my new E vector. So my E vector, after substituting the value of Q, is nothing but rho s 4 pi A square all divided by 4 pi epsilon naught r square ar cap. So as you can see, 4 pi and 4 pi cancels each other, and I'll remain with, I'll have my E vector as rho s A square divided by epsilon naught r square ar cap. So if we want the unit, electric field is represented as volt per meter. So what does it tells you? The electric field intensity at some point outside the spherical shell depends upon, is directly depending upon square of the radius of the spherical shell, as well as indirectly or inversely depending upon the square of radius of Gaussian sphere. That's why I was repeating that the point P is just outside the shell. If the point P is very far from the shell, it's very difficult to evaluate electric field intensity, because this R will be very large, A will be fixed, R will be very large, and if R is very large, this value which I am going to calculate will be enormously low, and mathematically computing such values will give you a hardly approximated value for field intensity. Okay, negligible value for field intensity. That's why we always prefer to find electric field, okay, very near to the spherical shell. Okay, now this is about case 1. So we have now case 2. So what will be case 2? Case 2 is R equal to A, that is point P is lying on the surface of the spherical shell. So point P, if this point P is shifted from here, okay, and it is shifted somewhere to my spherical shell. So my point P is now here. So this is the case 2, second case. So my R, now this is my R, point P is here, now this is my R, agree, this is my R, correct. So this R will be same as A, that R will be same as A, in the sense the Gaussian sphere and spherical shell has same radius. That means the spherical shell just covers my shell of charge, skin. It's something known as, okay, a skin conductor. Like the spherical shell just covers my charges, just covers. It is not that charges will be on the surface of the Gaussian sphere. The Gaussian surface is so designed that the radius is approximately equal to the radius of my actual sphere, and it just covers these charges, enclose these charges. So that is the second case. So going to that case, that is my case 2. If you want, I can write it as second case or case 2, where my Gaussian sphere has same radius as my spherical shell. R is equal to A. So I will not derive it again. You have this electric field intensity equation here in front of you. You can just make, okay, you can substitute R equal to A in this equation. Okay, just substitute R equal to A in this equation. That's what all you have to do. So if you substitute R equal to A in this equation, what happens? So electric field intensity becomes rho S A square divided by epsilon naught A square AR cap. So here A square cancels each other, okay, when you evaluate, and you will get E vector as rho S by epsilon naught AR cap volt per meter. So here you can see, when I am having my point on the shell, it does not depend upon the radius. Does not depend upon the radius. So I can assume that this is my maximum value of electric field intensity, is it not? Because in the previous case, when the point P was outside, it was inversely varying with R square. So more the R, lesser the field. So here I don't have any variable quantity, epsilon naught is a fixed quantity, rho S is a fixed quantity. So electric field is a fixed quantity, and this is the maximum value which I can obtain. Why I am saying that? Because let us check what is case 3 also, when the point P is inside the spherical shell. So consider same spherical shell of charge, but the only difference now is my Gaussian sphere radius is going to be less than the radius of actual spherical shell, because my point P is going to be inside the spherical shell. So the radius of this shell remains same, that is A. Then I will have a point P inside this spherical shell. So it is a hollow sphere, inside you don't have anything, so I can easily locate a point P there, and I have to consider a Gaussian sphere which is passing through this point P, whose radius is R. This is very clear. Now we have to apply Gauss's law. What does Gauss law say? psi equal to q, I agree, but what is the statement? Yeah, the total flux, right? The quantity of flux coming out of the closed surface is equal to the total charge enclosed by the Gaussian surface. So, in this case, what is the total charge enclosed by the Gaussian surface? Now, this is my Gaussian sphere, which is nothing but Gaussian surface, right? This is the Gaussian sphere. And is it enclose any charge? Does it enclose any charge? Because the charges are lying out here on the shell, and my Gaussian sphere radius is much less than that. So, r is less than a. So, this particular Gaussian sphere, okay, imaginary Gaussian sphere which I have considered is not enclosing any of these charges. So, the total charge enclosed is 0. So, from Gauss's law, psi is equal to q, and in this case that is 0. The charge enclosed is 0. Now, we have already seen that the total charge enclosed can be calculated as closed surface integral d dot ds, right? Closed surface integral d dot ds, closed surface integral d dot ds. Now, here I am saying that the left hand side is 0. So, q is now 0. So, that means 0 is equal to closed surface integral d dot ds. Now, what does this tells you? This tells you that this ds cannot be 0 because ds is some area. You have some point P here, you can consider an area around this point P. So, ds cannot be 0. So, if this integral has to be 0, then this d vector should be 0. So, it tells you mathematically that my d vector should be 0. If d vector is 0, what about E vector? Because E vector is nothing but d vector by epsilon, and now d vector is 0. So, this directly indicates that E vector is also 0. So, no electric field exists inside a spherical shell of charge. This has numerous applications, okay, and this is one reason pointed out, okay, by many scientists, that if you are inside a car during, okay, better example is a car during a lightning strike, what happens is the charges will be distributed on the body of the car, around the body of the car, and there will not be any electric field created inside the car, and you will be saved from any electrocution, that is any charge discharging through your body to earth, because there will not be any field created inside the car and there cannot be any movement of the charge inside the car, okay. So, this was also proved by Faraday using Faraday's experiment, okay. He have proved this by taking two concentric spheres and the charges moving from one sphere to the other sphere, and the field inside the inner sphere is found to be 0. You can learn more about this by referring the textbooks, standard textbooks, or by referring Google. Or if you have more doubt on this, you can contact me also, but I am not including those facts in my video. So, now we have here three cases. We have derived electric field intensity for case 1, for case 2 and case 3. So, now we know that electric field intensity is going to vary at every point around this spherical shell. When I say around, electric field intensity inside is 0, on it is some value, outside it is some value. So, I can have a plot of electric field intensity versus radius of Gaussian sphere. So, let us try to draw that. So, these are the mathematical expressions we got for three cases. When r is less than a, 0, when r is equal to a, this value, when r is greater than a, this value. So let me try plotting this E versus R graph. So vertical axis I will consider as magnitude of E, and horizontal axis I will consider as radius R of the Gaussian sphere, and origin 0. So when R is less than A, that is the first case, when R is less than A, E is 0. So considering that this is the origin of the sphere, if this is the origin of the sphere, R less than A means this is my R. So the R equal to A will be some value. So R less than A is any value less than that. In the sense, I can have R equal to A maybe somewhere here. Okay. So this is my R equal to A. Somewhere here I have R equal to A. Okay. So R is same as A. Now till here my electric field is 0. So vertical axis is magnitude of electric field, which is 0. So till that point I have my electric field 0. So starting from the origin till that point, that is till R equal to A, my electric field is 0. Now at R equal to A, what happens? At R equal to A, I have value Q divided by 4 pi epsilon A square, or I have a better equation. What was that equation? Rho S by epsilon. If you remember, I got this equation as rho S by epsilon, right? Just now we derived. So this I got it as rho S by epsilon, and we treated that this is the maximum magnitude possible because it doesn't depend upon R or A, right? So when R equal to A, I got my electric field intensity as rho S by epsilon. So I treat this as the maximum value. So maybe that maximum value is somewhere here. This is my maximum value, which is nothing but rho S, okay, given by rho S by epsilon. So this is my maximum value. So at R equal to A, what happens? At R equal to A, your electric field intensity suddenly rises to that value. So initially, when my radius is less than A, electric field remains 0, and at R equal to A, it achieves its maximum magnitude, that is rho S by epsilon, that is its maximum magnitude. Then after that, what happens? When R is greater than A, E is going to be Q by 4 pi epsilon R square, or just now we found that the equation can be written, means by substituting Q, you can write this equation as rho S A square divided by epsilon R square. Okay, whatever. In this case, E is inversely proportional to R square. E is inversely proportional to R square. So as the radius increases, radius of the Gaussian sphere increases, what happens? Yeah, your electric field decreases exponentially, right? R square reduces by R square term. So it is almost an exponential function. So what happens? It is a quadratic decrement. So it decreases like this, goes on decreasing. So R increases further, it decreases. So this is the graph which clearly tells me the behavior of electric field intensity in and around the spherical shell. Okay, just to summarize, inside the spherical shell your electric field is 0. On the spherical shell you have maximum electric field, and outside the spherical shell you will have near maximum value if R is very small, that is point P is just outside, and when the point P is going farther and farther from the shell, the electric field, you can see this is the magnitude of electric field. So electric field magnitude is this. So at some value of R here, at some value of, if my R is something like this, my electric field is only this much. Okay, this value, my electric field will be only this much. So further if I go, I will get negligible electric field. I hope finding field intensity in and around a spherical shell charge is very clear. Thank you for watching this video.